Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana Basketball Postgame Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. As always, the Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net, your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. You can follow us on Twitter at Grueling Truth. Make sure you like, subscribe to the video, and click on the link in the description of the video to check out BetMGM, which is our top recommended sports book for betting on the Indiana-Michigan game on Sunday. I am your co-host for the Indiana Basketball Postgame Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing good. A little disappointed after last night's
A little?
debacle. A little.
A little?
We'll get into it, but certainly not the joyous occasion we've been fortunate enough to have the last few weeks with IU basketball. But I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, and this was definitely Indiana's worst performance of the season. Now, I know several of Indiana's losses this season have been non-competitive, losses at Kansas, Rutgers, Penn State, Maryland. Am I missing any? Michigan State. We're all varying degrees of ugly. But Tuesday performance, I think, was the worst of the season, Steve. The Hoosiers entered Tuesday's game with a 14-1 home record. The lone blemish was a 1-point loss to Northwestern, which is understandable. Northwestern's a good team. But now they're 14-2 after this game. Coach Woodson seemed a little upset in the opening 2 minutes when he burned a timeout immediately. Post-game, he was still upset. He has every right to be. This was an absolute atrocious effort by the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yes, it was not their best effort in the season. We'll get into the stats a little bit, and then we'll get into what this means to Indiana moving forward. I saw the game right now as a couple factors. Most importantly, in my eyes, Mike, and I think you're probably going to disagree with me because you're a coach and I'm a player. They looked tired. They just looked tired. I tried to break the game down as I was watching. Okay, they're going to get hammered here. Is it because of lack of effort? No. I don't think they just were going through the motions or there was a lack of effort. I think there just was a lack of strength, speed, and everything else. And that just comes from being tired. I don't think that you can survive a rigorous college basketball season on a 6-man rotation. I just don't think you can. And I'll leave it at that right now.
Hey, Balin's here. How you doing, Balin?
Hey, Balin. How you doing, buddy?
All right.
I'm going to leave it at that. Let you comment on whether you thought they were tired or not as a coach. I mean, you have a different perspective than I do.
As a coach, I don't care if you're tired or not. You got to figure this shit out.
Well, see,
I mean, that was
thought,
pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
tend
pathetic.
to agree with you. But when you're just tired, you're just tired. I mean,
oh, well, that's sad.
They're not execute poorly. They only had 10 turnovers, Mike. They shot poorly, which tells me their legs are rubber. They got out rebounded, which tells me that they couldn't battle this game. Indiana generally doesn't get out rebounded in games. They got killed by 12 rebounds, I think, 39-27. Turnovers were 10-10, so they weren't messy with the ball. They just were tired. And that's the start of the dominoes that started to fall that made the day turn out to be like it did. Go ahead.
All right, so I think one of Coach Woodson's biggest weaknesses as a coach in the 2 years he's been here, and it was also the same thing with Archie, was the refusal to bench a guy when the players aren't playing at 100%. And Jalen Hood-Schifino played great Saturday. That was awesome. Last night was not a good effort for him, and not just him, but other guys here too. And, we all remember the time that Knight sat, everybody in the Illinois game, I think in 1984, to make a point, played all the freshmen. They go on and beat North Carolina and make it to the Elite Eight. I know this is not Bob Knight. This is not that team. But as a coach, the biggest motivator is the bench. And I know you don't really have another point guard other than Schifino, but if the guy you got's not getting it done, and effort-wise, I'm sorry, Steve, with Schifino, the effort wasn't there. I mean, he got schooled constantly. His on-ball defense has been decent this year. But the Perkins kid absolutely schooled him last night. And there are a few times where he olayed it. and there was no effort to defend, he should have found his ass on the bench then. But until Xavier can play, which he did, warm up last night, then I think Mike Woodson clearly doesn't feel comfortable taking Hood Schifino out, even when he desperately needs to learn a lesson as a freshman point guard.
Okay. All right. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think a lot of what you say is true. In rebuttal to your argument, that's the downside of playing a 6-man rotation is he doesn't have anybody to go to.
No, it's because he won't go to him. If you're going to bench somebody's ass, it doesn't matter who's there.
I agree, Mike, but this is something that should have been done 15 games ago and developed some other players. He chose not to do that then. He made that mistake then. Now you're in crunch time. Now you're fighting for seedings. You're fighting for buys in the Big Ten tournament. You're fighting for rest for your players.
Well, they could have rested Schifino for the entire game last night. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Here's my take on Schifino. What happened to Schifino? I think he's a little tired, but I think mostly Schifino was more than anybody living off the laurels of his Purdue game and thought.
Which is why you bench his ass, Steve.
That's why you bench him. I agreed. You bench him and sit him down and say, listen, son, if you're not going to play in our system, you're not going to play. And it's as simple as that. And then you set him for 5 minutes, say, you ready to play in our system? I'm going to put you back in. If you don't play in our system, I'm going to set you again. And Knight said this to guys. He said, in halftime, he would come into us and say, look, I'll lose. I'll put 5 guys out there that are going to go play hard and play the way I want them to play. And I'll risk losing this game if you guys don't start playing the way I want you to play. Don't think you know more than I know about how to set up an offense and a defense against Iowa. And I think that Schifino got into that boat. I think that Trace Jackson just looks tired.
I thought he played pretty well.
He got the quietest 26 points he's had all year.
Because they were down by 30 the entire time.
I looked at the box score after the game and said, my God, he had 26 points. I don't remember him making a bucket. And I know he did. I mean, I'm being a little facetious there. But I agree with you in a sense that – but I just think at this point in time, you can't teach kids those kinds of lessons right now with what's at stake with every game. Basically now Indiana has dropped out of the top 16 seedings for the big dance. I mean, they can get back in with a win over Michigan, which is going to be a quad 1 game, and then a good showing in the tournament. They can get themselves right back in. So all is not lost there. Ken Pong, they dropped to 27th. The overall rating, they dropped to 28th. So they're a mid-pack seeding right now. And that stuff is goofy because before the Iowa game, they were a top 16 seed. They were 4th in one of the brackets. I saw that.
All right. So here's my issue.
I think you're right about Schifino, and that was especially been true if they have more depth on that basketball team. Then you definitely sit Schifino and say, watch how somebody with heart and will play under my system will do this. And Knight did that so many times in my 4 years there. So, and I would have thought Woody would have picked up on it, but I think the reason Woody didn't pick up on that, he didn't have anybody to go to.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So why is Indiana more tired than Iowa?
Playing with fewer players. Iowa had more depth. Iowa substituted more, got players in and out of the game more.
But that's because
I actually looked and I saw Miller Kopp and Galloway with about 7 minutes to go in the first half. Those guys were still in the game. And generally, Kopp's the first one yanked out. And they're still playing the original 5, 13 minutes into the game before they even think about subbing. And
Iowa only plays with 6 guys, pretty much. Sometimes 7.
I didn't look at
7 at most.
Check their stats.
I don't have to check their stats on this game because it was a blowout. They played a lot of people. I don't care about their stats for this game. That's what I'm saying, because it was a blowout. They played a lot of people.
7 players that played 16 minutes or more.
Yeah, that's all they have. Indiana has how many?
To play 16 minutes or more, we had 7.
What the
Base,
fuck?
well, no,
What is
Base
the difference?
14, Banks 14.
All right, so we're tired, right?
Race Thompson only got 14. Yeah, I think we're
All
more
right,
tired.
that's bullshit because
We're
Iowa
more
plays
tired,
was seven.
and
Oh fuck! Can I make a fucking point, Steve? Just
no, you
one
can't now.
time.
Right now, let me finish
Just
this.
listen. Oh God. Well, you've been
Banks,
going on with the same thing that's absolute bullshit forever. But
Banks
go
and
ahead.
Bates have given minimal minutes all season long. 14 points out of those guys having played as little as they did all season long doesn't mean a lot to me. But go ahead. I apologize for
No,
shutting
it's
you
just.
down. Go
I
ahead.
mean, you make this point that they're tired, and I think it's absolute
That's one
bullshit.
point. It's just one point.
But this is
We're
my
harping
point.
on it. Move on. Move on to the next point.
Okay, Iowa never plays with more than 7 guys. They got Josh Dix, who averages 5 minutes. This is my issue. Saturday at like 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock, they finished up coming back and beating Iowa 112 to 106 in overtime. They then had to fly to Indiana to play Indiana. Now, when you look at this, they have both played the exact same amount of games since February 16th, right? No, they haven't. Iowa has played 5 games in that time. Indiana has played 4. Iowa beats Ohio State February 16th by 17. They lose by 20 at Northwestern on the 19th. On the 22nd, they get beat by Wisconsin 64 to 52, where they only played 6 guys. And then playing 7 guys, they won 112 to 106 in a game where they had to come from 13 points down with a minute 34 left to win the game. Then they have to fly all the way to Indiana. Indiana, on the other hand, last week on Tuesday, got destroyed by Michigan State. They play on Saturday on 4 days rest. They drive, 2 hours to West Lafayette. They beat Purdue. They beat them relatively easy. They didn't have to stretch a whole hell of a lot. Then they come back home and wait for Iowa, coming off an overtime game, to fly all the way to Indiana to play. I don't buy this excuse. I mean, they play with about the same amount of guys. Iowa just got off an overtime game that went late as hell against Michigan State, but they came in here and they beat us by 22, Steve. You know, that's lack of effort. If you're tired, you still play hard. I mean, you do. And Hood Schifino, I think could be a really good player if he stays another year. I don't think he probably will, but he could be good. But he's streaky because he's allowed to be streaky, because there are no constraints put on how he plays in the game. He doesn't have to play a certain way. He just goes out and plays. Sometimes that'll work. Sometimes it won't. The problem in the tournament, you got to win 6 straight games to be the national champion. Can he play 6 straight good games? Have we seen him play 2 this year? I'm not going to take this bullcrap when Iowa had to play an extra 5 minutes to beat Michigan State in an emotional game, just like Indiana was emotional against Purdue. So I just don't want to hear this. They played lackadaisical last night. The defense was Olay half the damn time by most of the guys, and they moved like their legs were dead, which is not always tired. Sometimes you're just lazy. And that to me is what this is. And it's very concerning to me because we saw the same effort last Tuesday night against Michigan State.
All right, so you're blaming this loss on Woodson.
No, I'm blaming this on the players because they did not get the effort.
The coach should be. If that's the case, then
the coach should have benched somebody.
Off air, you told me how you would have benched all the players.
I would have. I'd have benched every one of them.
Well, okay, but Woodson didn't do that.
It doesn't mean that I'm right and he's wrong. That's just the whole game. It's my opinion on what should be done. He coaches his team. I coach mine. I didn't. When did I blame Woodson? You're just saying that because
Woodson. Now, listen, my co-host here is blaming the coach for this loss.
Woodson won him the Purdue game. He would have won him this game if they would have put forth the effort.
That's old news. We got that one in the bag.
Hey, all right. So it's Bobby Knight's fault when you guys lost to Iowa twice in 1981?
I don't remember the parameters of that game. I don't know why.
Because this is the thing. Sometimes players got to play. My questioning on Woodson is not benching guys. I'm not blaming him for the loss. They lost by 22 points. They lost because last night Iowa was just simply better and they wanted it more. I think a lot of it is you're a little happy because you beat Purdue. You're pretty much not on a bubble like we usually are.
I think that's all a factor.
And Iowa is still, they should be in with the wins they've had, but last night solidifies that Iowa's in the tournament.
They're tied with Indiana in the Big Ten right now. They're both 11 and
Yeah, but
8
we're
or
talking
something.
about, but with March Madness, if they don't win last night and all of a sudden they're 18 and 12 and they're seventh in the Big Ten, then you could lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament and be done. So last night put them in. It was a more
Same with
important
Indiana.
game. The thing with Indiana's already in.
But they're going in as a low seed if they lose first game in the Big Ten.
Will they be? If they beat Michigan and lose the first game, I don't think the Big Ten tournament, I don't think the conference tournaments mean much to the guys that put teams in, because we saw last year with teams that made deep runs not even make it when everybody thought that they would.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's fine. I'll buy your argument to some degree. I still think they look tired, but you're right. The team should be able to step up and play through being tired. I agree with you on that. That's a coach's perspective, and I fully support your perspective in that. That Indiana.
Well, how about this? I'll give you this. I will blame Woodson for this loss because I don't think he did enough during the game to try to change that.
I would tend to agree with that right there, but I think that's a learning curve for Mike. That maybe what he should have done, and he actually did it the last 3 minutes of the game. He pulled all the starters and put scrubs in, but by that time, Indiana was yeah.
Come on, you used to be a scrub then. Don't talk about yourself like that, Steve.
I was never a scrub. Don't call me a scrub.
I watched the NIT final the other night, and you didn't play.
I was in the doghouse because I was in New York City.
See, so don't call them scrubs.
I'm staying at the Waldorf Astoria, and I'm in New York City. Are you kidding me? I was deep in the doghouse that weekend.
Why would you do?
Not anything that I really want to repeat on radio.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. All right. So when I look at this, well, you should have asked Coach Knight with you. On the bright side, Jackson Davis became Indiana's all-time leading rebounder, and Xavier Johnson warmed up. Xavier Johnson warmed up and was in uniform, and they hope he can play against Michigan on Saturday.
So some other takeaways, Mike, in this game to me were, once again, Iowa just drills us on three-point shooting, and I understand that they may be a good three-point shooting team. We were 2 of 11, I think, and they were 14 of 23 or something like that. Hell, they shot 50% from the 3-point arc, then they were just under. I got the stats right.
You got the stats? You're reading them?
I got the stats. Hang on. They were 56% from the 3-point arc. Now, again, I'm going to go back and harp on it. We can have a little discussion on this. Perimeter defense, all you got to do is as a coach, tell your team to push your defense of your perimeter 10 feet out above the arc. Push it out. I heard that. Well, we didn't even have 3 points, but when teams were drilling us from 15, 20 feet, we would just push our arc out and make them play their game 25 feet, 30 feet from the bucket. And, but then we had the horses inside in Tolbert and Turner, Kitchell, myself, and whoever else. So I think that our perimeter defense was desperately weak. I think that put us in a bind. We were not able to, for whatever reason, either being tired or not putting the effort out to play catch up this game. There are a multitude of things that happened. I think the coaching was average. It was okay. I kept saying, Mike, change up what you're doing. Just try something different. This isn't getting it done for you. Run a different offense. I don't know. Go to zone. Do something different.
Right, we got Balin is insanity is doing the same, and we do that
over and over again. Right. I didn't create that, but it bears true all the time.
Well, Balin says I'd say Woodson will smartly
drinking alcohol.
I will smartly, slowly. He just started slowly. Bring Xavier Johnson off the bench. It makes sense. Johnson is a good perimeter defender.
Yeah.
All right. If the effort's not there, it won't matter what Xavier Johnson can do. But the worry here is by the time Xavier Johnson's
going to be a non-factor in this season for this team. Mark my words. He's got to need 4 or 5 games just to get himself back in playing shape. There's a difference between practice shape and playing shape. And you know that as a coach and a player, Mike. You know
Yes, I
it's
do.
different.
But I also know
And
this. All
Xavier
right.
Johnson is not a
Hey,
factor for this
hey,
team.
hear me out. I think he's a
Okay.
factor because of this.
Eventually.
Even once you get to the NCAA, he's a factor because I think by him being
Mental
back on
factor.
the floor,
Right.
then I would say maybe that makes Jalen Hood Schifino a little more cognizant of the way he's playing because there's nobody
Dalen,
there that can
drink
back
Diet
him up.
Coke. Dalen should drink Diet Coke.
Yeah, Diet Coke is probably worse for you than
It's
beer.
worse for you than beer.
Steve,
No
I
doubt.
might have I might just have 2 beers 6 times today.
I
What is
know.
that,
That's what I
Steve?
said.
6 times 2, Kelly Business School. What is it?
6 times 2 is 12.
There you go. Kelly School
Yeah.
of Business. Sign
I
up.
quit
It's worth
drinking.
it.
I no longer drink alcohol, period. I'm done with it. I've lost about 40 pounds, 50 pounds.
You told me that 5 years ago too, and now you tell me that you just quit.
I moved out to California and started drinking margaritas by the pool.
So you lied to me all
Then
this
I quit
time.
again.
All this time you lied to me. All right.
If I go
But
to New York, I'll probably start drinking again.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it have been nice to start drinking about 5 minutes into the game last night?
Yeah, it would have been. I'll tell you, after watching Indiana play so well for such a long period of time, it is more painful to watch last night's game.
Yeah.
I'm going to write it off, Mike, as an anomaly to this season. I think that they'll right the ship, and I think they'll pound the crap out of Michigan, or play well against Michigan.
And Michigan's a good team, and they've played much better as of late.
The big advantage for Michigan is they're as poorly coached as Iowa is. Although McCaffrey kind of made Mike.
McCaffrey's better than Juwan Howard. It's just
yeah, but he kind of made Mike.
Put it like this, though: that Iowa team we saw last night can beat anybody in the country when they play well. But since Farmer Fran coaches them, they don't always play well. Unfortunately, it seems like they always beat our ass, though.
Iowa, yeah, we had trouble beating Iowa too. Iowa, I don't know what it is, but the turnovers were good. 10 turnovers apiece per team statistically. Looking at the stats, we just shot poorly. We're shooting poorly for this team tells me tired legs. That's what it tells me. That's what I grew up with if you're shooting poorly, the first thing you look at is how tired are your legs because you're not getting elevation on your jump shot. Rebounding is the second thing you look for. We got crushed on the boards. When you're tired, you don't bust your butt chasing down balls and things like that. We didn't make a lot of mistakes, so we weren't mentally out of the game. We weren't making big mental mistakes. I think the coaching staff, like I said, the perimeter defense not pushing it out and trying to shut down their 3-point shooting. That's how they were beating us. They really weren't pounding inside on us. It was a perimeter game that they took to us, and I said all season long that's a weakness this team has, our team. And if I'm watching film to prepare for Indiana, I'm saying attack from the perimeter because Indiana doesn't want to guard the perimeter. And that's just my theory on it. I'm sure you've got others. I'm not concerned at a high rate about this loss. I don't like the loss. We didn't need the loss, but I don't think it's the end of our season. This loss. I think winning the Purdue game,
double bye.
Winning the Purdue game gave us a little bit of breathing room. It gave us a little bit of breathing room. But I hate to waste
all of that.
I hate to waste it on a home game against a team like Iowa.
Well, I mean, the concern right now is at 11-8, we are now 5th in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and now we're probably losing our bye seeding.
The double bye is
gone. So now we may get one bye, but that's one more game we got to play. And what I think is a tired team, that's one less game they're going to get to rest. Or one less day they're going to get to rest. So it's got to.
Well, this is the interesting thing, though. If you look at this, Indiana right now is 5th at 11-8. Iowa's 6th at 11-8. Illinois is 7th at 10-8. Michigan State's 8th at 10-8. Rutgers is 9th at 10-8. If you lose to Michigan, it's possible you could drop down to like a 9 or a 10 seed.
Yeah, and you're playing 4 games or 3 games in the Big Ten tournament. 4 games,
Yeah.
I think.
So I think the Purdue
Yeah.
win gave them the opportunity to turn this into something really good, and they
And
gave it
they
back
pissed that away.
immediately.
They
Yes.
gave it back immediately. Exactly right.
Hold
Yeah,
on, we got some comments here. Michael Houghton, can we? I was drinking 5 in. You almost have to drink to watch the show. Joseph Michael, Steve likes his LaCroix water.
my LaCroix. And actually, I have switched to Evian. I am now sponsored by Evian. So I've gotten off LaCroix. I'm on Evian.
Okay, Michael Houghton says, hi, Steve. Check out the Red Chair group on my Facebook. This sounds like a sex site or something, doesn't it?
Michael, tell us a little bit. Michael, write back and tell us a little bit about your and we'll see if it's worth being promoted or not.
I'm looking it up right now.
We get so many listeners and followers. You know the fun part about this is, and I know I'm putting the cart before the horse here, we could end up playing Purdue again.
We could.
We
and
could.
It won't mean anything. We just need to get to the NCAA tournament. All right. Yeah. It looks like I found the IU Red Chair group. Is that Michael's group? Does he answer yet?
He threw his chair last night. Come on, Michael.
Don't throw your chair, Michael.
Don't throw your chair.
It's just a basketball game. It happens. I just asked to join the IU Red Chair group too. So my membership is pending. Yes.
Okay. I gotta go to it too then.
So everybody check that out. Make sure y'all check out Got Woodson too. Brian Moore, who runs that site, will be with us Friday night at 7:00 to preview the Indiana Michigan game. Yes, that dumbass. He's probably watching too. Maybe you can get him to comment on here by calling him names. Yes, that was
all right,
it.
Michael, what's our cut for getting people to join the Red Chair?
Yeah, what do we get for that? We should get something for
Michael. Come on. We don't do this crap for free.
It's the IU Red Chair group.
That sounds good. I like the name. Catchy.
It's catchy.
Why didn't we think of that, Mike?
Because we don't think of hardly anything.
So we've talked about, is there anything else about last night's game? I mean,
there was nothing I wanted to talk about to begin with.
We just played like crap. I think we coached like crap. I think it's a huge disappointment after Saturday's game against Purdue. It's just like you just pissed away a golden. I love free donuts and bread.
If they'd have won both games, they would have been a double bye.
Wait, Mike, did you see what McDonald's is going to do? They are
going to sell
Krispy Kreme donuts now in the drive-up window.
Yeah,
you can go to McDonald's in the morning, get your Egg McMuffin,
I don't eat
Diet
that
Coke,
stuff,
and
though. I don't drink that.
a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts.
But I don't eat donuts.
I'm going to get fat again.
I don't eat donuts.
Oh, I love
or bread. Donuts. I don't even eat bread.
I love Krispy Kreme donuts. Anyway, it just was a bad effort all around, and it was so bad and so out of place. I'm going to write it off. I'm going to write this game off and move on to Michigan and stay cheerful and upbeat and positive about this basketball team. They're staying home for this weekend. They don't play till Sunday. It's only Wednesday today, so they've got some time to sleep in their own bed.
Wait a second. Michael says, yes, Mike Al runs Bimbo Bakery for the whole state of Indiana.
We're getting off on a tangent.
So where
we may want Michael on as a grist. Krispy Kreme is owned by communists. Screw those SOBs.
Everything is owned by communists.
They make good donuts.
Everything's owned by communists now, Balin. Damn.
Yeah, except us.
They even took his girlfriend's name, Sarah Lee.
No, I eat Sarah Lee cheesecakes. I love those little creamy things.
When he says her name's Sarah Lee, you shouldn't say, I eat Sarah Lee.
I use Cool Whip Light.
He'll come kick your ass if that's his girlfriend.
All right, hang on. Let's get serious here about the basketball.
No, I don't want to.
I do.
No, I don't.
I do. I think everybody needs to write the Elkhart. That's close to where that stupid Buttigieg is from.
Hell, that's close to where Detroit is, or Michigan.
Yeah, but Buttigieg was mayor of like Mishawaka or South Bend or something.
Yeah.
dated Marie Callender one time. Great pot pies. I love Marie Callender pot pies. God, it's sad I know all this. That's the scary part.
Yes, it is.
Write this game off. Everybody that's still listening to us, which maybe
The numbers are still going up,
Balin
just like
and
last
Michael.
show.
What'd you say?
We're doing fine, Steve. The numbers are fine. You can keep talking.
Write this game off, okay? It's a bad game. Like I said, players were tired. Players seemed uninterested. Players were still living in West Lafayette. Coaches weren't up to snuff where they've been in the past. Mike's on a learning curve. I love Mike Woodson. He's a teammate of mine. He was an opponent in high school. I've known Mike most of my life. And I believe in Mike Woodson, what he has done for Indiana basketball. We sell out games again, Mike. We hadn't done that in 15 years, unless it's a huge game like a Kentucky or a Purdue. Those were the only games we were selling out. And now we're selling out again. The girls are selling out.
They're actually winning at a high rate.
They've won the Big Ten. Yeah, good for them.
They won it a week before the season was
again.
over.
We got to get a couple of the girls players on the show.
We'll do it. Call the AD.
What's
the
his
SID.
name?
I don't remember his name.
We got to get one of the girls on and talk women's basketball.
Let's do it.
I'm as proud of them as I am the guys' team.
Well, you can't be proud of the guys' team after what we just saw. So.
It's one game. I'm still proud of this team. I got a championship ring. I got a banner hanging there.
Yeah. So what the hell do you care if another team
I wore?
No, they don't. They got those 5 stars on there.
I think we come back against Michigan. You know, we had a bad shooting night. We had a bad defensive perimeter night. We got out rebounded badly. All the things are there, but those are all, to me, legs issues. You know, the shooting and the rebounding were your tired legs. The coaching, we've talked enough about the coaching. That's a learning curve on Mike. I think he'll pick that up and he'll understand that. I think he listens to this show, and if he hears me, I think the perimeter defense will be awesome against Michigan. But I don't think it's very hard to outcoach Jalen.
His name's Howard. Not Jalen, you dumbass.
I was thinking Jalen Rose. I mean Juwan Howard. I don't think it's that hard to outcoach him.
It would be even easier to outcoach.
I'm not taking
Jalen
anything away from Mike on this. I think Mike will just blow him away.
Allie Meester on IU's women's team is my daughter's basketball mentor. Did training camp with her.
Cool. Let's get Allie on the show. And have her
Balin, get us Allie on the show.
Get us Allie. Have her get a hold of Mike on Facebook, and we'd love to have Allie on to talk women's basketball. I devote a whole show to it and pump the women's team. We get enough listeners. I don't think they need pumping right now. I think that they're
stop, Steve.
I just understand. Yeah, we will talk about the women's team.
We're gonna have to make Joe Spillman make a little short out of that video.
Mind.
I don't. It's just from listening to you guys talk about little bits and everything else. It's just I'm warped now.
Stop it. Yeah, I think we're still fine. Ken Pong and the rating system. Those things are flopping like crazy right now. I mean, we were in the top 16. We're probably out of the top 16 right now.
We just need to win a Michigan game, win a first-round Big Ten game, and then just tell everybody we're going to chill out till the next week so we're not too tired, Steve.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's part of it.
It's not.
I think that Schifino is a problem.
3 games in 8 days.
I agree with you, Mike. He is a little bit of a problem.
Well, he can be a problem for us or he can be a problem for them. It's kind of 50-50.
He's got a bad case of freshmanitis right now. He's had some success as a freshman.
They've played 30 games.
Yeah, and he's had some success. And well,
there you go. Mike says his gal is Becky Morris and runs operations. Hook us up, Mike. We don't know anybody with the women's team, so
yeah, we don't. So get us, Michael, if you got somebody that we can get on that's on the women's team, I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, Michael Balin, send me friend request on Facebook and let's get some IU women's basketball going. Because nobody really covers it except for that one Tom Brew, and he's a dumbass.
Oh,
He covers it on Sports Illustrated. I don't like him. He's a moron. He's a smug asshole. Anytime somebody makes a comment, he acts like he ever played a sport or something. Hold on. Balin says Shafino is better to. You know what? My lab, who's 2 years old, was better than Romeo Langford. So don't worry about it. That's not saying
Romeo's had a solid. I mean, not a solid. He's still playing in the NBA.
Nobody cares. I mean, who gives a shit about the NBA? That's a communist league. He's
drawing a big paycheck.
Good for him, but he's still, supporting Chinese government.
Okay.
Fuck the NBA.
All right, I would agree with that last comment.
I'm in a good mood now. Michael and Balin put me in a better mood.
Thank you, Michael and Balin. Anything else about the basketball game? Anything else that you want to talk about?
I got nothing. I'm just glad it's over.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over too. I think it's a one-time anomaly.
And Indiana will be back on Sunday. What time did they play Michigan on Sunday, Steve?
I have no clue.
Come on, Steve.
Let me see. Well, it's one of those TBDs last I looked. So let me see here. I'm pulling it up right now on my phone.
Because I did know, and then it changed to TBD. So I don't know.
So I
time out yet or not.
Don't even know what channel it's on right now.
Okay, they play at 4:30.
On what channel?
I don't know. The channel that the game's on. Hold on. I can find out for a second. Oh, no. Wait. That takes me to... Yeah, okay. Indiana and Michigan in the Big Ten final.
CBS. That's a
4:30.
That's
CBS 4:30. I would say this. Sunday, Steve, we should go live at 7 o'clock as the season wraps up. We'll talk about the game. And then Monday, we'll do a Big Ten tournament preview show. How about that? The more Indiana basketball, the better.
Pre-race, man.
Ain't nobody give two shits about that. Then I'll have to find somebody else. Maybe Michael will want to do the show with me Sunday night.
All right, I'll give up pre-race.
And Andrew says, IU celebrated way too hard after Purdue hangover yesterday. Woody will lay into them, and they will be fine. Balin says, flush it and beat Juwan Howard, Steve.
I know. Okay, let me just make this comment. I played 3 seasons with Mike, okay, in college.
Yeah.
And Mike was the quietest kid on the team. I mean,
you know what?
You never heard Mike raise his voice or yell at players. He would get banged around as much as we were allowed to bang him around, and he would take his lumps, but he was quiet. He was a quiet player, and to see him now and that scowl look on his face that he never had as a player is kind of funny for me. When I see him, I kind of laugh a little bit. Like, Woody, calm down. It's not you.
But hey, Steve, show's gonna have to be over. My chicken's done. My wife just texted me, so the show's over. I want to remind everybody we will be back Friday night with Scott Woodson's Brian Moore to preview the Indiana-Michigan game. Sunday night we'll be here around 7 to talk about the Indiana-Michigan game. Then Monday night, Big Ten tournament preview show. We'll have a special guest or two on there. Also, make sure you like and subscribe on Facebook. Like and subscribe on YouTube. I forgot to bring up betting.net again too, Steve, but it's all right. We're bigger than them now. I'm just kidding. But betting.net is your best bet for finding the online sportsbook or casino that's right for you. Make sure you go check out BetMGM and the link in the description of our YouTube video. But for now, for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching The Grueling Truth, where the legends